Hello everyone, it's DuckFaden07. Today we are playing some Grixis. Okay, this is my Grixis build I made recently, and it's basically Grixis Death Shadow, but with the 3 Murktides, and I ditched all the 1 toughness creatures from the main except the Bowmasters. So, no Ragavan, no Bubble, no DRC. In this build, I played a lot of the regular GDS list recently, and had some really poor to mediocre results with it, and it just I was facing opponents bowmasters each game plus more like removal like furies and just a single removal and stuff like that. So it didn't really go well, and plus I experienced a really bad scam matchup with those classic builds. So it didn't go well, and I kept losing to the Bowmasters, massacring my board state in response to the Consider or Preordain or whatever. I just had too much of these 1 toughness creatures. DRC, Ragavan, plus Bowmasters, that is 12 of them. So also sometimes this same thing prevented me from playing Shadow on turn 3 or stuff like that, so you can't really play it ever as a 1-1. And that's it. So I changed the list a bit, added the Murktide Regents, added Arcanists. So Arcanist is kind of similar to the Ragavan actually, in the way that opponents just can't let the Arcanist attack. Once they can't deal with Arcanist and Arcanist gets to attack with a full graveyard, you have a choice what you want to do. You then do the free preordain, a Totsis, a bolt, whatever, and at this point you can really run away with the game very easily. So in that sense, it's kind of similar to the Ragavan, because getting Ragavan to attack, getting Arcanix to attack, feels that has that same bad feeling as letting the Ragavan connect you. But this creature really does a large value, and previously it wasn't optimal in the builds like this. It was just missing those couple more spells that you can benefit from, and other cantrips just weren't that good. And Preordain really digs deep and helps you find the stuff you need to control the game. So casting Preordain off your turn, then recasting it with Arcanist lets you dig 6 cards, which is insane, and you only have to use 1 mana to do this. And definitely that helped this card a lot and made it playable at the moment. So other than that, we have a couple of Drowning Lock, no Unholy Heat in this variant, just Fatal Push, Bolt, Drowning Lock, and Terminate on the sideboard, plus 1 Flame of Feigner, which works very well with Arcanist, which is also Wizard. Okay, so that's it. The sideboard is basically a usual GDS sideboard with addition of 1 Chalice of the Void, and this is all usual stuff GDS usually plays, except a Flame of Feigner, which works well with Arcanist, and 1 Chalice of the Void in addition to the Flusterstorm Pierce and the Graveyard Hate plus Explosives to deal with the Cascade X. Okay, so let's switch to the gameplay and see how it went. Okay, I played a couple of leagues, had a couple of 4-1 leagues with this list. It felt very good. I had like 70 to 80% win percentage. Yeah, okay, so I had a much better experience with this version than the previous version I was talking about that plays DRC, Ragavan, and similar. So I think at this moment, due to the prevalence of the Bowmasters and Juned decks, scam decks, I think this just works much better. And the Murktide is a very powerful threat at the moment. You really want to have it available if it's possible. So with these few additions, I think the scam matchup changed significantly, and it was previously just very bad with if you're facing with the let's say regular GDS list. So the scam matchup really significantly changed with this list. Murktide does a lot there. Also, there are possible a few tweaks to get it even better, but I think for now it looks good. So I had good experience so far playing against both Junt and the Scam, and they are really usual matchups at the moment on the MTGO. Okay, so just a friendly reminder before we start to click like, click subscribe if you like this kind of content, and comment in the video, of course, if you especially if you try a deck, and I'm really interested to hear what was your experience with a list like this. Okay, so play the turn 1 consider into turn 2 Arcanist, and opponent really has to deal with this Arcanist, which they didn't do. So now they're really in a really bad situation. I get to replay the consider from my graveyard, digging for removal. I find the Bowmasters on top, and I was really happy with this. So I decided just to go for the Bowmasters, kill one of their channelers, and play the Death Shadow. And this puts my Junt opponent into really a bad situation. They still haven't dealt with the Arcanist, so this means I'm replaying another Consider next turn just by attacking. So I go in for 3 damage, I find the Drowning Lock on top and decide just to kill the DRC and play another Death Shadow. Opponent plays out the Ragavan, and that is basically it. So I cast the Bolt on the opponent's Ragavan, go for the attacks, replay the bolt to the face, so this means I have lethal damage, they have to do something. They have the Bowmasters to survive the turn, but only one card in their hand at the moment, so they can't really get out of the situation like this, so that is the game. Okay, so game 2. I kept a hand with the Terminate and the 3 Bowmasters. I'm on the draw, so if they have 1-drop, they're probably gonna connect once, but not more than that. Junt matchup is really common at the moment. Opponent first time decides to discard one of the Bowmasters from my hand. They left Bowmasters in. Then they connect with Ragavan and discard another one of my Bowmasters. My top decks through this entire game were extremely poor. I just had 3 or 4 lands from the top. My opponent goes for the Bowmasters of their own. I actually drawn the 4th Bowmasters here, and I play Bowmasters on their Bowmasters, but they have another one, but I also drawn the 4th one. So I decide to go for it and trade with everything, but in this situation now I was a bit flooded. I did the trade with everything, and I had the Bowmasters on the field, but another land from top just put me in a really bad position here, in situation where opponent had DRC on the field and Ragavan in hand, and I was already on 8 life. So Alpine Moon from the sideboard at this point was really not helpful. So yeah, I didn't draw anything for the next turn, so that was the game. Let's check out the game 3. Okay, so let's see how I sideboarded. I removed Alpine Moons from the main when I was on the draw, and I had 2 Considers out. I had I had 2 Pierces out, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Arcanist, just trimmed a lot of cards as one-off, trimmed one bolt also. I kill their DRC, they play their Bowmasters, kill my Bowmasters, then I go for Arcanist Shadow, very good turn 3. Opponent plays a double discard here, leaving me in hand with a Fatal Push, but again they're just not able to deal with Arcanist, and Arcanist in this situation can really take over the game very easily. So I replay the Preordain, I find another Arcanist and put it into the battlefield as a good threat for the next turn in case they have removal for one of my Arcanists. I still get to replay a card from the graveyard. Had a Fatal Push. They had the Terminates. I think it was a good decision to leave the second Arcanist there. I Fatal Pushed the Bolt using Arcanist, and yeah. So I had another push available and two Arcanists on the field. I attack with one Arcanist and the Shadow, replayed Murktide from the exile with iteration and had double push available to me next turn. I find the Flame of Feiner on the top and decide to use the Flame of Feiner. So I killed the Bowmasters, killed one of their construct tokens with Flame of Feiner, and had the Preordain find me another bolt. I was not in a hurry to do anything here because my opponent just was in an extremely bad situation and they needed a wonder to get out of this. So they just attacked with DRC into my regent. I replayed the Fatal Push, then used Arcanist to replay the Fatal Push from the graveyard and clear the board and finish this game. Okay, so that was game 1. Match 2, I played against a Simic Infect player. Kept a good hand, a lot of cantrips. I decided to pass the turn holding Consider and Bolt and the Pierce. I decided to use the Consider first to be sure to find that second land, and then use the Bolt on my turn, still holding Pierce and Consider. So I definitely wanted to remove their hierarchs. So I decided in this situation to hold the Drowning Lock for a counter on the creature, but they successfully resolved a Blighted Agent. I had the Spell Pierce back up to get rid of this guy. They find the Inkmoth Nexus, and also I was just shocking myself a couple of times, so I was low on life, so they started attacking with the Hierarch. So I played the Bowmasters to get rid of their Hierarch, because I was, as I said, already low on life, and opponent used all their cards to attack with the Inkmoth Nexus. Put me on 7 infect counters, but when they tried to rebound, I top decked another Bowmasters, killed it, and that was the game. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, had a decent hand here. Turn 1 Thoughtseize into turn 2 Arcanist. Unfortunately, no bolt. Bolt would be ideal in a situation like this, but I went for Totsis, discarded Invisible Stalker. And yeah, I just played my Arcanist, but opponents top decks choke from top of their deck, which was really good in a situation like this. I had the Blood Crypt and the Swamp available to me, but I wasn't able to play most of cards in my hands like this, and the opponent had really good top decks. They had the Stalker and the Choke and the Nexus on the field, so I decided just to concede at this point, okay? Opponent got me really good with Choke in that situation. Okay, so in game 3, I kept pretty good hands. Unfortunately, no 1 mana removal, but I find it with Preordain on turn 1. Opponent starts off with the Hierarch, which is ideal for my Bowmaster. Opponent then plays Invisible Stalker, which is not that easy for me to get rid of. And I decide to hold a Drowning Loch this turn. I was hoping to draw a 4th land and then go just immediately Explosives. But I didn't draw the 4th land I needed. So I had a couple of options here. I went for the Totsis. Opponent uses a Force of Negation. So I decide to use my Engineered Explosives in this situation to have a solution for a Stalker next turn. But they had a choke again, which was very good at this point, and I just couldn't find that land I needed. But I did find the Shadow, which was pretty good clock at this point. And yeah, I find a land to kill both of their Stalkers, and my opponent just concedes the game when I had the opportunity to crack the explosives. The game was over. Okay, so that's it. Interesting matchup against Simic Infects. So let's check out the match 3. Okay, in the match 3, kept push, a couple of cantrips and the Dead Shadows, pretty good hand. I decide to put Arcanist on top of my library. Arcanist is very desirable in the early turns. If you can have it, you will prioritize playing Arcanist. Just test the opponent if they have a solution for it or not. My opponent had a Fatal Push there. Plays the Shadow Spear. It was Gruul Rock. I play a double Shadow here, holding Bolt and Consider for their turn. They play their Urza Saga and go for a Grist. Didn't have much options there, but I decide to not use the Bolt on their turn. So if they have like in response removal to my creature, I can't really kill the Grist then. That's why I decided not to use Bolt on their turn. I play the Consider and I play another Shadow. Opponent draws a card, exiles my graveyard. But double Shadow is definitely very dangerous for them. My opponent has the Call of the Dead Dwellers to get the Bowmasters back to the field, killing one of my Shadows. But I was really too far ahead at this point, and I played the Iteration. I didn't find a land I wanted, but I had a Bolt for their equipped Bowmasters and stayed back with the Shadow. Opponent makes a construct, equips the construct. and I had Bowmasters plus Bolt to get rid of 2 of their creatures. And opponent goes Giganta hand, equips the Orc, and that's it. So I play another iteration, grow my Shadow, discard Giganta from their hand, play another cantrip. They attack with both of their creatures and had top decked the Bowmasters. But my hand was just too good at this point, and I was missing 1 damage here for a lethal, but it didn't matter. I attacked for 9, holding the Drowning Lock, which means there's no way they can win next turn. So I just played the Drown in the attack phase. They had the Havar Might 4 blocks, but yeah, I just wasn't in a hurry here. I dig with the Preordains and consider first, but then just cast my Murktide, force the block with the Shadow, put them on 2 life due to the lifelink, and opponent concedes the game next turn. They didn't have any outs from this. Okay, so that was it. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so you can see in this matchup, I trimmed some of the cards, 1 Consider, 1 Preordain, 1 Murktide, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Bolt, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Bolt, and got a lot of useful cards, like Terminate is good against Goyf. Opponent plays Call of the Ring, but luckily they didn't have a lot of creatures. They still got those... they still had those upkeep ring tempty ability, which makes their ring bearer very, very strong. I shock in the steam vents, hold the dress down, and terminate for their turn. They find a creature here. I played the dress down. They played the creature before the Call of the Ring ability, just so they have a creature to become a ring bearer. Then they can pay 2 life to draw a card, which is really good. I played Dress Down in response, so they don't get a Bowmaster's token, but they had Urza Saga in this point, which is definitely will become a problem because I just played my Dress Down. And I played Preordain, put both of my cards on the bottom, but just to find another land, which was definitely not good. Opponent now had a Saga available, and I didn't have a solutions for it. So I kept double Shadow on top, but this was definitely a losing game. I didn't have much chances here. And yeah, opponent had a full the ring tempt you, so I couldn't even block it. And when they attack, they deal me 3. Yeah, that was it. I needed some crazy top deck. Actually didn't have much I could get except removal at this point. But that's it. So let's check out game 3. Start off with the Thoughtseize, getting the Call of the Ring. Yeah, this card can really get out of control. So I play the Bowmasters end of turn, but they top deck Bowmasters of their own. It was still fine. I had my Bowmasters plus played the Death Shadow. They had double go for the throat, but that's okay. They played the Ring, of course, one of their go for the throats. And at this point, I knew their entire hand it was a Might plus Go for the Throat plus Golgari Rot Farm. They find Urza Saga. This was a great top deck. I find another Thoughtseize, which was really good because I was able to discard the last Go for the Throat from their hand and play out my Death Shadow, then terminate the Giganta and attack for 10 damage, putting them on 3 life, which made their situation really, really bad here. They did get the Ramon up on the field, replayed the Urza Saga, but yeah, I had another Shadow and this was just too much for the opponent, and yeah, I finished the game with the Bowmaster's ping. That was it. Okay, so let's check out last win from this league against the Senator Eater, Junt player. I had to mulligan to 6. I put a land on bottom, 2 Arcanists. With the turn 1 spell, that's always great. So Arcanist immediately becomes a great threat, and I don't need to play anything. Don't need to use mana to make Arcanist great, and it was just brutal. Exiling a bolt from my graveyard to shrink the Goyf and then killing the Goyf with a bolt. It was just crazy. I played another Arcanist and holded the Consider, pass the turn. So opponent goes for a Fable. So this means I can just play the Consider, find another 1 mana spell, and just replay both of them with Arcanist, which is just brutal. So I played 3 of the cantrips. I find the Thoughtseize, then play Preordain from my graveyard, and also play also played second Thoughtseize, discarding Orcish Bowmaster and a Grist from their hand, leaving them with just Inquisition, which I didn't really care about because they didn't have a solution for my Arcanist, and that was the most important thing here. I go for another iteration, but yeah, just couldn't find the removal, and I was really low on life. So my options here were kind of limited. I needed to go for the attacks and just dig with the Arcanists, hoping for Arcanists to get me out of this trouble. And I find a second Shadow, which was pretty good. It was what I was looking for. One of my Arcanists dies to the Goyf block, but now I had a double Shadow blocking these Goyfs and the constructs, so it was a pretty decent situation. I get the Bowmaster's top deck, which wasn't that great here, but I decided to attack with one of my Shadows because I had the Bowmasters for a chumps, but my opponent top decks a Grist from the top of the deck and kills one of my Shadows in the block. I play the Bowmaster, finishing off the Grist and jumping the Goyf. They didn't have mana for the equips this turn. And yeah, I top deck a Fatal Push to kill both of their blockers, and it was lethal with my Shadow, so that was the game. Pushed one blocker, then Arcanist pushes the other blocker, so clears the way so I can kill them with my Shadow. Arcanist definitely just was crazy good again in this game, as it was through this entire league. Also in other games I played, Arcanist carried me through most of my wins. It is just brutal if you don't, if you can get rid of it. And these journalists play Unholy Heats. And you can see that they really prioritize getting rid of the Arcanists. Most of the decks at the moment. They play, John plays 4 Unholy Heats, so it's not so easy for them to actually kill the Arcanist if they don't have the Delirium, and they have to get rid of it immediately. Okay, so I had a double Shadow here, and a Dress Down, and a Terminate. It was decent hand. But it wasn't just what I needed at this point. I needed some cantrips or the expressive iterations, but it is fine. This is a slower matchup that mostly goes longer. But you don't really want dress downs in situation like this when players are just passing turns and nothing crazy is going on. Okay, something blocking here. My opponent finds the Vren 6 from the top, which was great top deck for them. And yeah, it is basically the play that won them the game in situation like this. They were able to plus their Vren 6. I didn't have land I needed to play out my Death Shadows. And removals were just not what I needed at this point, so the game soon snowballed in their direction, and I'm just going to quit this because the game is blocking here. So let's just watch how the game 3 went. Okay, mediocre hand here on the keep, but I'm on the play. It's good enough. Opponent starts off with the Inquisition. I decide to use my Consider in response. I put Terminate into the graveyard to find the Bowmaster, and my opponent decides to get rid of the Shadow. Okay, so I top deck Dress Down, just passing the turn with the Bowmasters and the Dress Down available. Once they play the Urza Saga, I definitely just want to hold to my Dress Down until I can kill the constructs. You can see here again how I sideboard in this matchup. Jan Saga is really common at the moment. You have to be prepared to play that matchup. It is very interesting, but you can see here always I remove Spell Pierce against the Jan Saga. It's mostly useless. One Consider, one Preordain, two Totsis, trim one Arcanist, one Bolt, and that's it. So I have too many cards that are good in the matchup, and Alpine Moon was often just kind of dead. So I decided I have just too many cards that are really good here, and I decide, especially when I'm on the play, to just not use to not use the Alpine Moon because I had just better cards to get to put in, and also when I'm on the play I can sometimes just kill them before the Urza Saga really matters. I mean, not the one Urza Saga, but Vren rebuying Urza Saga over and over again. Basically their Urza Sagas died, and I killed all of their creatures, so they couldn't produce mana with the drum, and they didn't have lands. They didn't have more lands to play this game out. I played another Arcanist. Opponent uses another Nihil Spellbomb to exile my graveyard again, but I have another iteration in hand, which digs very well for more of these 1-mana spells. And I played Preordain, and the opponent knows that I'll be able to cast it with Arcanist, and they concede at this point. I'm just too far ahead. Okay, so that was it. Okay, that was the last win of this league. We are going to go watch the defeat now. The defeat was against the creativity matchup. That creativity matchup is not very common at the moment, so I wasn't really prepared for that. I also kept a very mediocre hand and not much action in the early turns. I did draw the preordain, so that was fine. I started off with the Totsis, but opponent has Spell Pierce. Unfortunately, this was probably the defining moment of this game, and I still had no idea what my opponent is actually playing. And when I saw the third mountain, then I knew like it's creativity, and I'm in like really bad situation. So opponent resolves the Fable. I don't have much here to do, but I have one Fatal Push, and I was able to play the Murktide, so it was a decent situation. Murktide can be very good clock here. Basically 2 attacks and a bolt wins the game. So I had the push to in case they go for the creativity, but unfortunately they had the Leyline binding to get rid of my Murktide, and so I put another Murktide in my hand, put my I shock myself into the 10 life and pass the turn holding the consider. Opponent plays the iteration, finds the creativity that gets exiled. So I play another creativity hoping to get like Spell Pierce or removal. I did find the Spell Pierce, which was pretty good at this point, and I was able to cast my creature. So I decided to go for second Murktide because it was the quickest win. I had to play the Spell Pierce on the Teferi. Very good hand and top decks for my opponent. So I attack with both of my creatures here. The Murktide goes in for 7 damage, and I didn't have much options, so I just play out everything. 2 of the Shadows and the Arcanists. But my opponent finds another land. They didn't have it last turn in hand, and now they were able to go for a double Archon, and I still had a chance to win in case I draw something. I needed a good top deck here, but it didn't happen. So it was close. Just one top deck would enable them to have a good blocks there. But they had it, and that was it. So let's check out the game 2. So opponent, I don't know if opponent had some really good draws there, or I got a bit unlucky. But yeah, I had a good chance to win that game 1, but it went to my opponent's direction in the end. I started off with the preordain here, finding that second land I wanted. I had, unfortunately, as I dig through lands, I had to put 2 Murktides on the bottom of my library and played the Arcanist on turn 2. Opponent has the solution, but I find another one protected by the Spell Pierce. And the Arcanist just can really get away with the game easily here. I decide to go bolt to the Wrenn 6, attack Wrenn 6 with Arcanist, and so this was defining moment of this game. I played iteration into preordain, trying to find that land. That means digging 6 cards deep, plus the preordain. That this is 9 cards deep digging. So I went Arcanist attack, preordain from the graveyard, then cast the iteration. That's 6 cards, and then another preordain, and I went through 9 cards, not finding a land. So I think again I was really unlucky here in this situation, and I had to play like my opponent has the creativity in hand, so I had to hold mana. So I wasn't able to play the Death Shadow last turn, and it would be too risky. but still it was a decent position for me. I had the land, so I shocked in there for Watery Grave, attack with my Orc army, and played a couple of Death Shadows. I wanted to hold both Drown and the Spell Pierce on their turn, so I decided not to play the third Shadow. I let the ending resolve. Let them make their tokens and then use the Spell Pierce for their creativity. So opponent only had one card at this point, and I had another Shadow plus Drowning Loch in hand, so I think this was a pretty decent position for me. Opponent lets 5 damage from the Shadow. I could have maybe shocked there to get more damage through. I think I accidentally passed through the damage phase. I expected them to jump. That's why I passed through the phase, and I had the Drowning Loch for another creativity. So my opponent already used 3 creativities, and I had a double Shadow at this point, and I was in a pretty good situation. And not too many stuff opponent can top deck in a situation like this, but I play the Tootsies. I've also find a Bolt to get rid of the reflection, but my opponent top decks the Archon of Cruelty from the top of their deck, which then loses me the game, which I really felt like I needed to win this. But yeah, it didn't go my way, and I didn't have much creativity hate in my sideboard. If creativity was popular, I would definitely have more pieces of hate here, but yeah, currently I think I had a chance to win both of these games against creativity, and the Spell Pierce plus all the disruption and the Arcanists and the cantrips plus Bowmasters really helped the matchup make it pretty good, but opponent wins anyway. And I'm really much happier with a build like this instead of the DRC Ragavan one at this point, plus the bubble. They're all of these cards are just very bad against Bowmasters, and you can see in this video and the last few videos the Bowmasters is really everywhere. Jan Saga is so popular at the moment. They play Wrenn and 6, they play 4 Bowmasters, then the Scam is very popular. They also play Fury plus 4 Bowmasters. It's just disgusting how bad it can be against the classic GDS version, and I think this version has some have some spells with more toughness, like Arcanist, and Arcanist, as you can see in the various examples, can really run away with the game very easily. And it's just a great fit in this deck with 18 1-drops replayable. Also, if needed, you could even add more like Shattering Sprees to the sideboard, or Duress to the sideboard, Inquisition, stuff like that. But I felt like this number is really enough to make it consistent enough. In all of the games, Arcanist was never bad, and I had really good win rate with this list, and that's it. So that's it for today. Again, a reminder to subscribe, like, comment in the video, and that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.